Today we're going to talk all about high chairs and what you should be looking at when you buy it, both from a practical as well as a developmental standpoint. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around. All about high chairs. So normally when you think about what we want in a high chair, we're thinking practical considerations. So is it easy to clean? Does it fit in your space? Is it collapsible? Anything like that. And those are obviously very important considerations. But I want you guys also to consider some other things when you're looking at buying a high chair, and that is everything that we want to look at from a developmental standpoint. And looking at these things can really help to improve how your child is able to eat at the table, how comfortable they are, everything like that. And those are really, really important considerations when we're talking about their whole relationship with food and how they feel at the table. So I have 3 high chairs here that I'm going to show you and walk you through the pros and the cons of each of them. So we're going to start first with our Stokey high chair, and this is really what I consider the gold standard of high chairs. So part of that is because it has a fully adjustable footrest. So you can see here I have our lovely little stuffy model, and this is actually set up for my daughter who's a little bit bigger, but this is fully movable. So when you have a 6-month-old, when you're first starting, you definitely want the footrest to be where their foot can be at 90 degrees while resting on it. And that's really important because think about it from an adult standpoint. So if you're sitting on a bar chair and so your feet can't touch the ground and they're just hanging, you are always going to be seeking stability. So you're going to be crossing your feet at the ankle, you're going to be pushing them up against the bar, you're going to be doing whatever you can to seek stability in your chair. And your baby is going to be doing exactly the same thing if they don't have a footrest. And then they're distracted and they're not able to eat as well as you would want them to be able to. So it's really, I cannot stress enough how important it is to get a footrest. And it does not matter if you're doing baby-led weaning, purees, anything like that. All babies, it's really important to give them a footrest. The other thing that is awesome about the Stokey is that you can see here, obviously your baby is going to be a little bit bigger than this stuffy, but it's really important that their hips are pointed forward, pointed towards the table. And this little baby set here keeps the hips tilted pretty far forward. They're not able to turn around, and I'll show you on one of the other high chairs how easy it is for them to move around, pull their foot up. It's just really not a great fit. And there are some things that you can do to modify, but the Stokey is definitely, it has it out the box, it has it easy to fit, and most babies are going to fit in that and just not have that distractions of an ill-fitting high chair. Now the Stokey is, yes, a little bit more expensive than a lot of high chairs, but they actually just they reduced the price for what you see here to only $250 in the States now, which is actually pretty competitive with some of the other high chairs that have all of the features that are really important for feeding. It does have a tray. I will show you here. I actually recommend not using trays if at all possible and pulling your baby right up to the table right from the start. But if for some reason you were unable to do that, it does have a tray that you can fit to it and use for your baby. All right, so let's take a look at our second high chair here. Okay, so this is our Spawn, and this is actually a bit cheaper version of a Stokey. So it's still wood, it's still fully adjustable. There's a couple things that it's lacking a little bit that aren't quite as great as the Stokey, but it's still a great option. So like I said, this is a fully adjustable footrest. So let's put our little stuffy in here. So you can see the footrest here, so you can move this up and down. You can see our 90-degree here. You also want 90 degrees at the hips and the knees. So that's what we're looking for from a fully adjustable high chair. And most of the kind of traditional ones that you see here in the States, they're not adjustable at all. You're gonna find your baby sitting back, not having knees bent, not at 90 degrees for all of those areas. And those are really important, again, from a comfort standpoint and reducing all distractions for eating. So this one's got the footrest, which is our #1 requirement in my mind. Now, the one thing that it doesn't have that the Stokie does is, like I was talking about, you want your baby's hips to be pointed forward. So this has a bit of a big sitting area. So it is a little bit easier. You can see even in this smaller stuffy, you can see how much they can move around. So imagine your baby starts to get bigger, 9, 10 months, pulls a foot up, tries to climb out, all sorts of that kind of thing. So that is one of the downfalls of this. Again, there are ways that you can modify it, but it is gonna need to be modified if you have one of those babies that likes to climb and isn't feeling quite as secure in this one. Now, the one big downfall to this that a lot of parents will say is you can see here on the front that it has these bolts with Allen wrench heads, and it has it also on the footrest. So that's where you're gonna adjust it, and a lot of people say that after using it for a little bit, the food gets caked in it and it's almost impossible to use the Allen wrench to adjust. So that's a bit of a negative, big drawback there, but it's only one consideration. I don't know, maybe tape over it. There's lots of things that we could do to modify that, but it is just something to keep in mind. So again, this is a good option because it has everything that you need, and it is a little bit cheaper than the Stokie a lot of times, and it goes on sale. And you can find it also, I know here, these are available on like Craigslist a lot more often than the Stokie would be. So another great option. All right, so let's check out our third high chair. All right, so this is our IKEA Antelope high chair, and the biggest thing that this chair has going for it is that it's $20, at least here in the States. So it is significantly cheaper than the other chairs that I've been showing you. But that cheapness also comes with a couple drawbacks. As you can see here, there is no footrest. So I would say that as a permanent full high chair, your child's #1 chair that they use at the table, I would not recommend it, mainly because there is no footrest. Again, like I was saying with the other ones, you could modify this. So if you're able to modify it to put a chair under it, boxes, anything like that to give it a footrest, then it would be a consideration. But as a full-time high chair with no footrest, I would strongly recommend against it. What I will say is that you can see here, this is easily collapsible. So we actually have this high chair in our house that we take to my parents' house. We take on us to trips like camping, anything like that, because these legs completely come off. So then it's just the plastic part to carry with you. So that is a great option. And I don't think it's a bad thing to not have a footrest for an occasional meal. Your kid is gonna be totally fine. I just don't recommend it as their primary chair. The other thing to keep in mind with this one is just like with this fawn, baby can move around a lot. I will say that from personal experience, we have our Stokie here, and my daughter has never once tried to move her hips around, tried to climb out. She'll stand up occasionally, but that's legitimately the extent of it. This, which we use occasionally at my parents' house, she sits around, she pulls her chair up, her knee up like this, she tries to climb out, there's all sorts of stuff. She is not very secure and stable in this chair. So it's something to really keep in mind, because yes, it's cheap, but that definitely has some drawbacks that's gonna compromise your baby's eating ability, because they're gonna be distracted and uncomfortable. And those are things that are really important. I cannot stress enough how important it is that we get our kids feeling comfortable and minimize all distractions. So there are ways that we can modify these, and that will be a whole other video. But as it is, this has such a big seat and no footrest. So this would definitely be my last choice of all of these. If you are able, just to sum this up, if you are able, I cannot stress how much footrests and secure sitting areas are for your child to keep their hips pointed forward to make them feel very secure. So the Stokke is, again, my #1 choice. If you can at all afford it, I highly recommend it. I have never heard of anyone regretting their purchase. And if you can't do that, then there are some other options like the Swan and some other ones that are still safe to have your baby fully sitting at the table without a tray. So we want something that, you don't have to have a tray to have them be safe in it, but are still able to have some footrests and things like that. So just some things to keep in mind as you're going around and looking for a high chair to buy.